I wanted to continue the conversation I was having earlier about the importance of relationships and the importance of having people in your life who are going to help you guide yourself forward. My story about how I came to Los Angeles is this. I moved out here with my best friend from college, Nick, who's an amazing guy. We moved out to Los Angeles with no jobs but our dreams. Nick is a successful trailer editor. He's worked on some of the biggest trailers in the industry and has 3 amazing awards for what he's done. So I'm very, very proud of him. We came from Chicago where we both had our own rooms. We lived in a very, very nice setup in Chicago. And we moved out to LA because we wanted to follow our dreams. And we literally shared a bedroom, and then 2 other guys shared another bedroom. And it was tough because our savings were depleting. I actually had to take out a $10,000 student loan in order to move to Los Angeles because my parents couldn't afford to send me here. You know, I've taken a lot of risks in my life. I worked at Back on the Beach Cafe in Santa Monica. That was my very first job after college. I was quite frustrated because I'm like, I have a college degree. What the hell am I doing working at a restaurant? And Nick was getting these freelance jobs. You know, we got used a lot when we first moved out here. He one day got a job. He worked for 3 days and they said that they were just testing him out and they didn't even pay him for those 3 days. It was crazy. And then got let go from the job at Back on the Beach Cafe, and I got let go from the first restaurant job ever in my life. I decided to go through a temp agency and I booked a few jobs here and there. But you know, again, it wasn't enough to sustain myself. And then Nick was also going through it a lot. But eventually, when you really work hard enough and you're focused enough to know that you have value to add to some place and that you're gonna be willing to do whatever it takes, all of a sudden, Nick got 3 job offers. He got a job as an assistant editor for the trailer company that he's in today. And now he's one of the main editors that is working and he's making good money. And then I went in and I worked for this nonprofit that catered to individuals with autism and computer animation and visual effects. And I started there as an assistant, and I knew that I wanted to be more than just an assistant at that place. So I worked my way up to, I created and managed the whole entire marketing, outreach, and communications department. And I was so proud of myself because I was going into the biggest rooms in Hollywood. I was going into Netflix, Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. I built a lot of amazing relationships that led to jobs for these individuals, that led to donations for the company, to big partnerships for the organization. And as overall doing all of the outreach, which meant exposing the organization and working alongside the publicist. I mean, I did things that never in my life, a kid that comes from Washington Heights, New York, when it was completely ghetto at the time I grew up there, literally gunshots every day. There would be candle setups for people who died every day. The velorios, as they say in Spanish, right? That's the neighborhood I grew up in. I mean, it's completely gentrified now. My friend says, you know, when you see that, when white people are riding their bikes for fun in the neighborhood, it's because it's changed. When they feel safe to ride bikes. I come from a very humble background. The first one to graduate from college from my family. I'm very fortunate to be able to live where I live today, to have my brother and my sister also following their dreams. I wanted to always be a good example for them. My sister's a successful hairstylist at 25 years old in Los Angeles, has her own chair, does amazing clients. And my brother has a full scholarship to the University of Rochester. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because you should never give up on yourself. And I've been talking about this from my previous message about rejections and accepting them when they happen. You have to, because you just never know what's gonna come around. And you have to be very optimistic about it, because you might think that what's happening to you right now is what's gonna determine the rest of your future, but it's not. I choose to always believe, no matter how down I can get on myself, that I know that something beautiful is out there for me, and I'm doing everything that I can to reach it. I've always taken big risks. I moved to Chicago to college without ever visiting the college that I got accepted to, because I wanted to go there. I knew that I had to go there, but I moved there by myself. I couldn't go to orientation because my parents couldn't afford to send me to orientation. But I moved to Chicago by myself with 2 luggages, a carry-on, and a backpack. I got to Chicago, I almost crapped my pants. It's like, what did I choose to do here? My first time living away, completely alone with no family in place there, I met my best friend Nick. And he's like my brother. And I could never have asked to be on this life journey without someone like him, who not only have I pushed him, but he pushes me every single day. He pushes me to do these videos because he knows that I can help people. He takes the time to help me edit these videos. I mean, he's an amazing editor, but he has an amazing heart. And I know there's people out there who are afraid to reach out to people, who are afraid to ask their friends for help. You have to ask people for help. You cannot do this in life alone. I don't know how I could have moved to LA by myself if it wasn't for my best friend. I don't know if I would be where I am today because we motivated and inspired each other to do big things. We've done big things. We are going to continue to do big things because we're just turning 30. And again, I go back and I say I really want to hear everyone's stories because I know that there's a lot of you out there who have similar experiences. What's the point of having these stories and not telling them because they're so useful? We struggled when we first moved to Los Angeles. We struggled for a good 6-7 months. No food. We had money for food. Thankfully, our parents helped us with that. But Nick was literally in bed depressed. He was so I've never in my life seen him that way. He's such a positive person. He was so depressed. I had to force him to get out of bed sometimes and say, you need to submit these applications. He would have a job and I wouldn't have a job. I would have a job, he wouldn't have a job. So we literally helped each other through this. And it's just such a beautiful story, I think, because look what we are today. It even took a risk for us to even find our own apartment by ourselves. He was terrified. I was ready. I was completely ready to get out of that apartment. But he was terrified because we both had jobs now at this point, but we were making very little money. But I was like, Nick, we have to take a chance. Because I'm really a big believer that when you are ready to move on and take a chance and take that risk, the universe is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you get what you need to survive. But you have to be willing to take that risk and be able to deal with the consequences. Remember I talked about acceptance? We moved to this apartment knowing that maybe we couldn't afford it. But we had to accept that if we couldn't afford it, we probably got evicted. We probably would have had to move back home. But we took a risk. And all of a sudden, he started getting promoted. He started making more money. I started making a bit more money. And, I think that's to say that if you're really passionate about wanting to do something in your life, whether it's moving to an apartment, whether it's getting away from your house that you lived in with your parents, whether it's paying for a class that you've always wanted to take that risk. But what I would say is take calculated risks too, because you also don't want to be broke. Now I've learned to really take calculated risks because you have to be really, really willing to give up everything that you have to follow what you want to do in your life. For me, coming from Washington Heights to New York, coming from a very humble family, to now having an amazing career in marketing and communications, to still wanting to follow my acting dreams, I couldn't ask for a better life. And I think it's just so majestic to see your dreams unfold. I'm not where I want to be completely and fully. This journey I'm going through right now, and I've had my ups and my downs, but I would not give it up for anything. I would go through it all over again if it means that it's going to lead me to where I am today. I've met some of the most amazing people in my life, the biggest titles you can imagine. And they mentor me and they guide me and they help me with my resume, my cover letter. I mean, I kid you not, these people when you're ready to receive, things will happen for you because they're happening for me. And if they can happen for me, then they can happen for anybody. So just take that. I think that it's important to really, really hold on to relationships. It's important to follow your dreams. And it's important to go for it no matter what. Don't listen to what's next to you and to the side of you. I tend to still do that sometimes, but I always remember when I look back, if I'm able to be where I am today, if some of the things that I've already dreamt of that have happened, then there's no reason that the rest of my dreams are not going to come through. But remember, you can dream it, but you also have to put action behind it. Like Beyonce say, I dream it, I own it. I work hard until I get it. Because you have to put in the work. That's not exactly hilarious, but y'all know what I mean. Anyway, I think that I wanted to share that bit of my story with you because I feel like it's important. It's a big part of my life. It's a big part of my journey. And it's a big part of sacrifice. So love what you do what you want, take your risk, work hard for it. Much love.